The smartest money in the world has decided that the most valuable thing that it can buy is not AI, it's not a tech company, it's your plumber. In the next 5 to 10 minutes, I'm going to show you why. And this is important because within it, it is like a playbook of how to buy a company or build a business worth millions. This helps us understand why money is flowing to certain industries, to certain companies, what private equity is currently doing, where the money is flowing, and why. This May, Apollo, one of the biggest private equity firms on earth, invested $2 billion into a company at a $10 billion valuation. Not tech, not AI. A collection of plumbing, HVAC, and electrical companies. That's guys in trucks. That company is called Apex Service Partners. And Apex Service Partners launched in 2019, and it's now worth $10 billion. In 2022 alone, private equity-backed buyers bought over 800 HVAC, plumbing, and electrical businesses in this country. So why is Wall Street going so heavy into these Main Street companies? Well, there's 3 driving reasons why. These reasons tell us about which businesses are going to have value, do good in the future, and why they like them. The first reason is fragmentation. There's about 167,000 HVAC companies in the United States. And of that 167,000 HVAC companies, roughly 70% of them are single owner operated. Now, this is a strategy that I know and understand. I looked at this reason and others to create a company that now holds hundreds of millions worth of assets. And it's amazing to see how that strategy and company that we started back in the early 2000s has become so mainstream in other industries because the value proposition is something that isn't changing constantly. It's not going away with AI, and it's something you can scale. And that leads us into reason number 2. These are un-killable businesses. No one is offshoring a broken AC in July. Software can't snake a drain, and there's no recession when a water heater breaks. Now, reason number 3 is the biggest reason. This is also the biggest opportunity for not just private equity, not Wall Street, but also you and me. It is one of the other founding reasons why I started investing in the way that I did and built the company that I did. This one matters for you, and that's that the sellers are aging out. 5 trillion, roughly 6 million small businesses are owned by baby boomers, where the majority have no succession plan. They don't have somebody they're passing it down to. They don't have a cell ready to go. They don't know what they're gonna do. The majority, well over 60% of these businesses, they don't have a succession plan. We're talking about trillions of dollars that are up for grabs with no plan. And virtually all of these businesses will trade hands by 2035. We're talking about a 5 to 8 year window. Once this window is closed, the tsunami of wealth, businesses, startups will have passed. This is more than a generational opportunity. The baby boomers are unique in both timing and size, and due to their age, obviously they hold the most ownership, wealth, and businesses. That's how it works. They start businesses, they grow them, they save, they invest, and as you get older, they actually have assets. But the size of the baby boomers is what's important. We may never see a generation as big as the baby boomers ever again. These are motivated sellers in essential businesses in fragmented markets in every city in the United States. Now, what we need to understand is the difference between the companies that are getting acquired and not. The differences on the ones that have value, equity, that will sell. This leads us to the framework to not just buying companies, but also the framework in companies that you should start, how to structure it so there is actual equity and wealth in that company. Now, the play of private equity is something that you can do on a smaller level. This is actually something that I did in early 2000s, before 2015. This is called a multiple arbitrage. Now, if you're a business owner, this can be an amazing tool. If you have a business that has infrastructure in place, you can go out and buy other smaller companies. The thing is, the valuation. This is what we have to really key in on. You see, what a company is worth is not solely dependent on their revenue, the amount that they make at all. In fact, that is not the driving factor. The driving factor is other things, and those other things are infrastructure. If we want to look at it and put it really simply, we could look at, does the owner have to be involved? Is the company dependent on the owner? Is the revenue dependent on that owner? Because if it is, and you buy it, and the owner leaves, and you don't already have infrastructure, you don't already have a company, the revenue's going to go away. You're not buying an asset. It's not tangible. The revenue won't stick around. You come in and you're buying a job, and you hope that those relationships, those contracts, that revenue will keep going to pay you your income, which you have to pay back to the owner. If you already have a company that has infrastructure, you can buy those companies and roll them in. But a company that is not dependent on the owner, that has processes, systems, diversified revenue, that actually has revenue that is attached to things that are not dependent on him, then the multiple or that valuation goes way up, because now someone's not buying a job, they're buying an asset. This difference is massive. In insurance, I could go buy a single insurance agent who had a book of business, and you would pay roughly 1.5 times that revenue. Now, our firm, we had infrastructure. We had brokers, processes, systems, diversified clients. We had technology. We had underwriters. There was more than the owner. If the owner went away, the company still ran and functioned. It still had value, and that value didn't go away because it wasn't predicated on the owner. That company traded at a multiple of 8+ times. So that company could buy an independent solo operator, roll it in, and that 1x value turned to 8x value with nothing changing at all. That is multiple arbitrage. We're simply getting the spread between what I'm buying and what it's worth internally. Outrageously valuable and an incredible way to build wealth and scale. Now, for most people, you either have to build the business or you have to change your business so it has that infrastructure. Then you go out and buy and do the arbitrage. But what's really important here is that difference in the value. Simply put, one person, even if it has the same revenue, let's say they make $100,000 a year, but that revenue is based solely on the owner, and if the owner goes away, it's all in jeopardy at risk. He knows everything about the business, he's running it, responding to calls, he's doing the work, he has the connections to clients. Somebody coming in and buy it may pay 1 times, meaning if he makes $100,000, they're gonna pay $100,000. We're putting this simply. Now, another person, they may have the same exact revenue, $100,000, but instead, that revenue comes in regardless of the owner. There's processes, system, they have technology, they have help, and that business, even though it makes the same, that can trade at 8 times. The difference is $700,000. One's worth 100, the other one is worth 800,000 with the same exact revenue. So, if you're looking at starting a business or even going and buying one, looking at the difference, what makes the difference between a job and an asset? Reason 1, the revenue doesn't rely on the owner, which we covered. Reason number 2, reoccurring revenue. Reoccurring revenue is gold. You can project out how much will come in, as opposed to project-based and you don't know if that revenue is going to come back in. Number 3, systems, not tribal knowledge. All of the information, the secret sauce of the business, how it runs, how money is coming in is built into CRMs, processes, systems. It's documented. Someone can look at it, they can see it, they can underwrite it. If the business is in the owner's head, how the business runs, creates value, performs, is once again predicated on the owner, but it's not just revenue. It's not just relationships and contracts. It's the literal business infrastructure. Number 4, now we're moving up to a little bit of a higher level. You have a management layer as well as technician retention. This is important. When you want to get to high multiples, then these things start to become essential. Now, you don't have to have these things to get a higher multiple than 1. Companies that have structure, reoccurring revenue, that have systems and processes trade at higher levels than 1x. Those will move up to 3 to 5x, maybe 6x. But then when you have a company that adds in a management layer as well as technician retention, you're moving into like 8x multiples. So the difference between the company, first company, owner dependent, 1 times that $100,000 is worth $100,000. The next one, the brain of the owner is in the company. You have diversified revenues, reoccurring revenues. Now that same $100,000 is worth $400,000 to $600,000. Then you have a company that has a management layer and technician retentions. People that run the day-to-day, who are executing on the work, that have contracts, that are doing the actual thing and can run the business. This is when you transfer from being an owner-operator to being an asset. The first level, that is the solopreneur, that is the job. The second level, that is the owner-operator. The third level, that is the asset. Now we're moving into really high valuations. This is also when multiple arbitrage gets really fun. Now, multiple arbitrage works good at level 2, but level 3, when you're dealing with this management layer, retention, technicians, that gets exciting. And number 5, absence of the owner doesn't make it fall apart. Employment structures, processes, systems, contracts, relationships that are based on the asset, the business, not the owner. That goes all into that third level, the company being an asset that is tradable itself. Private equity is looking at these 3 levels. With all of the assets and businesses that are actually trading hands, the opportunity is in the spread, meaning you can buy a business that private equity doesn't want. They don't want level 1 at all. Even level 2, they don't want. They want level 3. For you to come in and buy a business at level 1 or 2 and turn it into level 3, or start a business and then work on that business, use the revenues, allocate into business structure, knowledge, technology, and turning it into an asset, that's where wealth is created. Then working in industries that have staying power, that are fragmented and can be consolidated, that's how you build an empire. Now, this tidal wave of opportunity is already here, and it will last, but start diminishing. The tidal wave of opportunity is here. You just need to know what to look for. You need to understand what to buy and how to turn it into something even more valuable. I'm talking about the industry, the landscape, as well as the business. And lots of times the opportunity is taking the lower one and moving it higher, the solo entrepreneur to an actual business with an operator to then an asset. Moving from there into multiple arbitrage, and then you're creating an empire. And it's understanding that distinction between the industry, the opportunity that's there, the structure in the business that you're buying that is here. And that opportunity does have a lifespan, unfortunately. The tidal wave. Now, there will be opportunities afterwards, but the tidal wave of opportunity that is here and is running out by 2035, that has an expiration date. So you don't want to miss it. Make sure you're following. Comment what businesses and opportunities you're looking at now that the baby boomers are leaving behind.